The signal came without warning. It was weak, broken, and full of static, but it carried something impossible. A name. ESS Horizon. For 45 years, that name had been a memory, a ghost. The Horizon was one of Earth's most advanced exploration ships when it disappeared near the edge of known space. It had entered Sector Null, a dark region with no stars and no known exits. No ship had ever come back from there. Until now. The moment the signal was confirmed, every major command center on Earth lit up with alarms. The voice in the signal was garbled, but the ID matched perfectly. Horizon was back. Or at least, something claiming to be Horizon was. At the orbital command station above Earth, Commander Elias Marin stared at the glowing display. He had studied the Horizon in his academy days. Its disappearance was one of space's greatest unsolved mysteries. Now, it had returned. He was chosen to lead a mission to investigate. His team was young, skilled, and trusted. They'd boarded the ESS Valiant, a fast-response scout cruiser, and followed the faint signal trail. The path led them far beyond the mapped star lanes. It took nearly 2 weeks of silent travel through empty space. Then, near a dead star with no name, they found it. The Horizon. It floated quietly, like a sleeping giant orbiting the dead star. Its metal hull looked worn, aged, and strangely twisted. Some parts glowed faintly blue. Others pulsed with strange patterns no one had ever seen. "Power levels are stable," said Ensign Rika, checking her scans. "But this tech, it's not ours." The ship wasn't dead. It was alive in ways they didn't understand. No escape pods were missing. No damage was visible, but no human crew responded. Commander Marin gave the order. "We're going in." They docked carefully. The Horizon didn't resist. Its airlocks opened with a smooth hiss, as if welcoming them home. Inside, everything was strange. The corridors were silent and clean, but the walls, they shifted colors gently, like they were breathing. No dust, no bodies, no signs of struggle, just silence. "It's like someone's been maintaining it," whispered Lieutenant Solon. They found the bridge. The lights were on. The consoles were active. But the interface was alien. Complex patterns danced across the screens, written in no known language. Elias moved to the center of the room. The captain's chair was still there, untouched. He looked around, heart pounding. And then he saw it, floating just above the floor near the main console, a glowing silver sphere. It was smooth, about the size of a basketball, and it shimmered like liquid metal. The others stepped back, uneasy. Elias moved closer, drawn to it. "Commander, we should call this in," said Solon. But Elias didn't hear her. The sphere began to glow brighter. Then, without warning, a voice entered his mind. Clear, calm, human. "Welcome back, Elias Marin. We've been waiting." He stumbled back. Did anyone else hear that? The others looked at him, confused. "Hear what?" said Rika. Elias stared at the sphere. The voice had spoken directly to his mind. It wasn't loud. It wasn't frightening. But it knew his name. "Who are you?" he asked, half whispering. The sphere pulsed once. "I am the memory core. The crew is safe. The Horizon has returned for a reason." Elias felt cold sweat on his back. The ship had no crew on board, no one living. And yet, the voice said they were safe. He stepped forward again. "Where is the crew?" The sphere dimmed slightly. "They are beyond what you understand, but you will see. In time." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The bridge systems began to change. The alien symbols shifted and were replaced by Earth language. English. "Commander, this ship's systems are changing," said Solon, stepping back in fear. "It's responding to us." "No," Elias said slowly. "It's responding to me." The sphere hovered higher. "You came seeking answers. Now the journey begins." And then, from deep inside the horizon, a new signal activated. It wasn't a distress call. It was a destination, a set of coordinates to a place not marked on any map. Elias looked at his team. We're not done here. The horizon had come back, but it wasn't the same. And whatever it brought with it was just the beginning. The horizon was no longer just a lost ship. It was something else now. Something changed. Commander Elias Marin stood in the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the glowing sphere that spoke to him without sound. "Coordinates received," said Lieutenant Solon, staring at the screen. "But I checked 3 times. That place doesn't exist in any star chart. No one's ever been there," added Ensign Rekka. "Or if they have, they never came back." The bridge of the horizon felt alive. Its walls shimmered faintly. The air was clean and warm. It didn't feel like a ship missing for 45 years. It felt like something rebuilt or reborn. Elias turned to his team. The voice said the crew is safe. "If there's even a chance that's true, we follow this." They looked unsure. Who wouldn't be? But they trusted him. So they stayed. For the next few hours, the team explored deeper into the horizon. Each room held more questions. In the medbay, they found equipment unlike anything Earth had ever developed. Machines with smooth, glowing surfaces. No buttons, no wires, no screens. But when Elias walked near them, they lit up, showing images and data, all in perfect English. "Commander," Rekka said softly, "I think this ship is learning from us, or maybe it already knows us." In the engineering bay, they found the engine core. It was no longer the human-made reactor the Horizon had launched with. Instead, a rotating ring of black stone and glowing blue metal pulsed silently in the center. "This tech is impossible," Solon whispered. "There's no fuel, no heat. It's like it runs on thought." They ran tests. Nothing made sense. Yet everything worked. The Horizon, they realized, wasn't running on human science anymore. It had evolved. But how? That night, Elias sat alone on the captain's chair, thinking. The sphere hovered beside him. "You said the crew was safe," he said quietly. "Where are they?" The sphere glowed gently. "They passed beyond time. Their minds are here, in the memory. Their journey continues through you." "I don't understand," Elias replied. "You will." Suddenly, Elias saw flashes, visions not his own. A corridor, a crew member in panic, lights flickering, a flash of white, silence. Then, stars moving backwards. He gasped, clutching the armrests. What was that? The past, a memory, one of many. The sphere hovered closer. The crew was offered a choice, to die in the dark, or to learn from what waited beyond it. What was it? What did they find? Something not from your universe, something that taught them. And now, teaches you. Just then, the lights on the ship dimmed, and a low hum filled the air. Solon's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we're moving." Elias stood. "I didn't give the order. We didn't need it," the sphere said softly in his mind. "The Horizon remembers its path." The ship turned smoothly toward the strange coordinates. No engines fired, no thrust. And yet, stars began to shift. They were moving. The crew gathered on the bridge, watching as space bent around them. "It's like we're folding space itself," whispered Rekka, "jumping without a jump drive." "Like something is carrying us," Solon added. Elias nodded. "The Horizon isn't just a ship anymore. It's a messenger." "Then where is it taking us?" The sphere pulsed. "To the place where knowledge begins, where the crew became more, and where your trial will start." The stars outside changed. They were leaving known space and heading into the unknown. The Horizon slipped through space silently, without noise or tremor. There was no engine hum, no shudder from speed. Only the stars outside, bending and swirling, told the crew they were moving faster than any human ship had ever gone. Then suddenly it stopped. No warning, no sound, just stillness. The view outside showed a dark corner of space. No suns, no planets, just a black void stretching in every direction, until the sensors began to scream. "Picking up structures," said Solon, staring at his console. "Big ones." Rika adjusted the visuals. The screen lit up, and everyone leaned closer. A massive system slowly appeared in the darkness. Not natural, not built by humans. Machines the size of moons, spinning slowly. Rings of light orbiting invisible planets. Webs of metal connecting points across space. The air on the bridge felt heavier. "What is this place?" whispered Rika. The sphere hovered beside Elias and pulsed gently. "You are in the archive." Elias frowned. "Archive of what?" "Of everything that was and might be. Your crew left their memory here. And now you will learn what they saw." The horizon drifted closer to a giant structure shaped like a spiral tower floating in space. It had no engines, no doors. But as they approached, a light opened at the base. An entrance. "Should we dock?" Solon asked. Elias nodded. "Get us as close as possible. I want to see this up close." The docking process was smooth, like the horizon and the spiral tower were part of the same design. The airlock sealed, and the door opened slowly. Beyond it, silence. The crew entered the strange structure, stepping carefully into a wide corridor glowing with soft blue light. The walls weren't made of metal. They felt alive, warm, almost like smooth stone with a pulse. "It's reading our minds," Rika said suddenly. I can hear voices, but not with my ears." Elias stopped. He heard them too. Soft whispers, not threatening, but ancient, like echoes of a forgotten song. Then a room opened before them. Inside, floating images, scenes from the past. The horizon's launch, its voyage. The moment it disappeared in Sector Null. Then something new. A vast black shape in space. Not a ship, not a creature, something between. Like it was made of shadow and thought. "That's what they found," Elias whispered. Solon stepped closer. "Whatever it is, it changed them." Another image appeared, the horizon, torn apart, then slowly rebuilt by glowing lines of energy, shaped by invisible hands. The crew floated inside chambers of light. They were studied, Rika said, and upgraded. The sphere hovered in the middle of the room. They chose to join the archive, to leave their human bodies behind, and become part of something greater. Now you must decide. Observe or become. "Become what?" Elias asked. "The next step." Suddenly, a part of the wall slid open, revealing a chamber of light. Inside were shapes, like outlines of human bodies, waiting. The crew stepped back. "No way," Solon said. "We didn't sign up for this." Rika looked torn. "What if this is how we learn the truth? What if they're still alive in there?" Elias stared at the chamber, heart pounding. "I need answers," he said. "Real ones. If this is the only way, I'll go." He stepped forward. The sphere pulsed brighter. "You will not be harmed. You will see as they saw." Elias entered the chamber. Light wrapped around him. His body froze, but his mind raced forward, through stars, through time, through the memories of the lost. He saw Earth through the eyes of the horizon's old crew, memories preserved like crystal. He saw them meeting something beyond reality, something that didn't speak in words but in thought. It had no name, only purpose. "Why us?" Elias asked in his mind. The answer came softly. "Because you ask, because you wonder, because you fear and still move forward." He saw the crew, not dead, but transformed. Their minds lived in the archive, guiding, watching, learning. They hadn't been taken. They had chosen to stay. And now he understood why. Suddenly, he was back. The chamber released him. He gasped for breath, falling to his knees. "Commander," Rika rushed to his side. "I'm okay," Elias said. "I saw them. They're here. Not ghosts. Not prisoners. Teachers." He stood slowly, eyes wide with new knowledge. "We're not alone in the universe," he said. "But more than that, our path forward isn't war. It's understanding." The sphere pulsed one last time. "Your next trial begins now." The room shifted. The tower changed shape. A deep hum echoed through the structure as the archive opened wider. And whatever waited inside was waking up. The tower shook. Not with violence, but with purpose. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. The air changed, thicker now, filled with energy. Something deep inside the structure had woken up. Commander Elias Marin stood still, staring at the shifting walls. Behind him, Rika and Solon looked around nervously. "We need to get back to the ship," Solon said. "Something's happening. I don't like it." Elias shook his head. "No, this is part of it. The archive isn't done with us." The sphere hovered near the doorway, glowing brighter than ever. "The awakening protocol has begun." "What does that mean?" Rika asked. "You have entered the center. The knowledge stored here is unstable. You must decide what to carry back and what to leave behind." The lights along the corridor began to shift, blue to red, red to gold. New doors opened in the walls, revealing strange chambers filled with floating devices, glowing panels, and shapes that looked like ancient technology, but also alive. Solon stepped cautiously into one of the rooms. He reached out toward a panel that pulsed gently. The moment he touched it, the panel reacted. Images appeared, Earth as it was now, and as it could become. Skylines of floating cities, energy fields protecting forests, machines that healed instead of destroyed. "It's the future," he whispered. Rika stood beside him, staring in awe. This is what the Horizon crew saw, what they were offered. Then a loud hum cut through the silence. A new shape appeared at the end of the hall, tall, humanoid, made of light and metal, with no face but eyes like stars. It moved without walking, gliding forward slowly. The sphere spoke again. "Caretaker protocol initiated. Questions must be answered." The figure stopped in front of Elias. Though it had no mouth, Elias heard the voice in his mind. "Why have you come?" Elias took a breath. "We received the Horizon's signal. We came to find answers." "Then you must understand the cost." Suddenly, the floor below them glowed. The tower pulled up memories, not just from Elias, but from all three humans. Scenes from their lives appeared in the air. Elias saw his childhood, his first spacewalk, the moment he accepted command. Solon saw his brother waving goodbye before his first deployment. Rika saw her mother's face, lost long ago in a colony collapse. All their fears, their hopes, their choices. To carry knowledge home, the voice said, "You must leave something behind." That is the awakening. Rika stepped forward. "You want us to give up part of ourselves. Not your soul, just your limits." A new doorway opened. Inside, a chamber with 3 seats, each facing a glowing panel. The sphere moved to Elias's side. "Choose to see as they saw. Choose to return with the truth, or leave now and forget." Solon shook his head. "Forget. We didn't come this far to turn back." Elias looked at the seats. "If we sit, what happens?" "You awaken." Without speaking, Elias sat in the center chair. Rika and Solon followed. The panels lit up, and light poured into their minds. Not pain, not force, but clarity. They saw maps of the universe, paths to stars no human had ever seen. They saw the Horizon's crew, still alive in light, guiding machines and learning the secrets of the archive. They saw warnings too, fractures in space, signals of something coming. A shadow, a hunger, a force that consumed civilizations without a sound. "It's still out there," Elias whispered. "The thing they found near Sector Null." Yes, the sphere said. And it is moving again. The archive hadn't just been built for learning. It had been built to protect, to prepare. The horizon had become part of its defense system. Now, Earth was being invited to do the same. The lights dimmed, and the seats released them. They stood slowly, change, not in body, but in understanding. We can't keep this to ourselves, Rika said quietly. Solon nodded. But who's going to believe us? Elias looked at the sphere. Will the horizon take us home? It will. But Earth has changed, and so have you. The crew walked back to the ship. The tower slowly sealed behind them. The corridor darkened once more, the archive returning to sleep. As the horizon detached and drifted back into space, the ship responded to Elias's thoughts. Its systems were no longer just tools. They were part of him. He sat in the captain's chair, eyes on the stars. Set course for Earth, he said. We have a message to deliver. But deep in the dark beyond the archive, something else had stirred. The enemy had noticed Earth's awakening, and it was coming. The ESS Horizon moved through space like a ghost returning from the dead. Commander Elias Marin sat silently in the command chair. His crew, Rika and Solon, worked around him, but even they felt it. The ship was different now. It listened. It responded. It knew them. More than that, it felt alive. Earth Command had finally responded to their signal. Confused, suspicious, and overwhelmed, they ordered the horizon to return at once. But Elias knew they didn't understand. Not yet. Behind the ship, the archive tower faded into deep black. But ahead, something darker waited. That night, if time could even be called that in space, Elias sat alone in his quarters. The glowing sphere hovered quietly nearby, dimmer now, as if conserving energy. You said something was coming, Elias said. What is it? The sphere pulsed. It is called the Silence. Elias frowned. That's a strange name for an enemy. It does not speak. It does not show. It arrives, and nothing returns. Elias thought of Sector Null, of the Horizon's first mission, of the fear in the old mission reports. And it's coming back. It has always been coming. But now it knows Earth is not blind. Suddenly, alarms blared. Rika's voice echoed from the bridge. Commander, you need to see this. Elias rushed up to the command deck. Solon pointed at the main screen. A ship, no, a shape, moved in the darkness ahead. It wasn't made of metal. It wasn't broadcasting any signal. It didn't even reflect light. It just existed. Long, thin, shifting, like something trying to hide, even in the vacuum of space. We tried to scan it, Rika said, but the horizon refuses. It won't look at it directly. The ship's voice, now part of Elias's mind, whispered one word. Silence. The strange object was not moving toward them, yet, but it was following. Elias turned to his crew. We can't lead that thing back to Earth. Then we're not going home. Solon asked. Not yet, Elias replied. We need to warn them first, then draw this thing away. Rika shook her head. Even with this new tech, we're just one ship. Elias glanced at the glowing sphere. We're not just one ship anymore. The horizon began to shift. Panels along the walls opened. Small drones emerged, smooth, silent, glowing faintly. They floated like birds preparing for war. The Archive had armed the horizon in ways Earth had never imagined. We send a message, Elias said, not just to Earth, to the colonies, to every outpost in human space. They need to see this. Solon worked quickly. Broadcasting now. All channels. A hologram formed in the center of the bridge. It showed the silence behind them. The horizon, Earth, and lines of data connecting it all. Message sent, Rika confirmed. The sphere pulsed again. The silence consumes knowledge. The more you know, the faster it comes. Elias frowned. Then why give us this knowledge at all? Because now, you have a chance. The lights on the ship shifted from soft blue to deep red. The drones locked into positions around the hull. It was preparing for something. A soft voice, female, calm, unfamiliar, spoke across the speakers. Enemy presence confirmed. Defensive mode active. Ready for countermaneuvers. The ship was awake. Then the shape of the silence changed. It split. From the long shadow came smaller shadows, needle-like ships without engines or heat. Dozens, maybe hundreds. They moved without noise, like knives in the dark. Solon's hands flew over controls. They're closing in. The horizon turned sharply. Drones scattered into formation, firing beams of controlled light. Not lasers, not plasma. Something new, something quiet. Each hit caused the shadow ships to vanish, not explode. Vanish. But more came. The horizon was fighting a storm of whispers. Rika cried out. One's breaking through. The hull shimmered, then bent, like water disturbed. One of the shadow ships had pierced through. Alarms screamed. But Elias didn't panic. He reached for the glowing sphere. Help us. It shot forward into the corridor. There was a flash of light. Then silence. The breach was gone. No damage. No enemy. Elias stared at the corridor. This isn't a war, he muttered. It's a test. It is both, the sphere replied. The archive is choosing defenders. Earth has been chosen. Elias sat down again. His face was calm now. The message was out. The horizon had shown its power. But the silence was just beginning to move. Set course, he said softly. Not back to Earth, but toward the edge. Let's see what else is watching. As the ship moved forward, the stars around them seemed darker than before. Something was waiting. Something older than light. And Earth had just entered its game. The ESS Horizon flew through the stars like a warning shot fired across the void. The crew didn't speak much anymore. Not out of fear, but focus. Every system on the ship was alive, listening, adjusting. The horizon had become more than a ship. It was part of something much larger. Commander Elias Marin stared at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, the silence was still moving. It didn't chase like a hunter. It crept like a shadow, slow, patient, and sure. Back on Earth, the reaction had been instant. The message from the horizon, the data, the images, the technology, shocked every nation, every agency, every scientist. But most of all, it terrified them. Earth Command responded quickly, not with orders, but questions. What is the silence? Can it be stopped? Is Earth safe? Elias didn't have answers. Not yet. The glowing sphere floated in the center of the bridge, pulsing with quiet energy. It had grown slightly since they left the archive, as if it was feeding on knowledge. We need more than answers, Elias said to it. We need allies. The sphere pulsed again. Then we will speak to the ones who listen. Before anyone could ask what that meant, the ship's lights flickered. A strange humming filled the air. Low, soft, ancient. Solon frowned. Something's tapping into our comm system. Block it, Rika asked. Elias shook his head. No, let it through. The main screen shifted. Not a face, not a voice, but a message, hundreds of languages at once, flowing across the screen like a river of symbols. Then it stopped, and a voice spoke in Earth English. You carry the mark of the archive. Speak quickly, human. The stars are not safe anymore. The voice wasn't human. It was deeper, layered, as if several beings were speaking together. Elias stepped forward. This is Commander Elias Marin of the Earth Ship Horizon. Who are you? There was silence. Then, we are the Velari, watchers of the Outer Rim. The archive spoke once before, to us, and then it fell silent. You are the first in 3,000 cycles to carry its light. Solon's eyes widened. 3,000 years. Yes, the voice replied. You have awakened something old, and now others will come. Rika looked at Elias. What does that mean? He didn't answer. He was still thinking. The Velari continued. The silence is not a species, not a weapon. It is a wound in space, growing every time knowledge spreads too far, too fast. It destroys civilizations when they become too loud. Elias's voice was calm, but firm. Then why give us knowledge at all? Why let the archive survive? Because silence is not life. Silence is death. And your kind has never stayed quiet. Another signal came in, this time from an alien ship approaching fast. It appeared on the edge of the sensors, smooth, silver, shaped like a crescent moon. Solon checked the readings. It's not attacking. It's hailing us. The message played instantly. We are the Cernae. We heard the call. We will stand with the horizon. Another ship followed, then another. Within hours, 10 vessels from 10 different civilizations surrounded the horizon. Some large, some tiny, all strange, all unknown to Earth. But they had one thing in common. They had all heard the archive's signal. And they had all feared the silence. Rika whispered, We're not alone. Elias nodded slowly. Not anymore. The Valari's voice returned. You must choose, Elias of Earth. Hide, and the silence will take your world in time. Or lead, and bring more to its heart. Elias looked at the stars. He thought of Earth, of the people who didn't know what was coming. Of the scientists, the children, the dreamers. He looked at the glowing sphere beside him. Then at his crew. Then at the alien ships floating nearby. We don't run, he said simply. Earth never has. The horizon powered up again. Its systems hummed with strange light. Weapons formed from nothing. Shields shimmered with colors no one could name. The fleet of strangers turned in unison. Ready. The silence had tried to consume knowledge. But now, it had been seen. And the stars had answered. The horizon moved through the stars like a blade drawn in silence. Behind it followed a fleet that had never existed before. Ships from forgotten empires, hidden worlds, and civilizations that had long given up hope. They came not because of Earth, but because of the message. Because the archive had spoken again. And now, the silence was listening too. Commander Elias Marin stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the black ahead. There was no enemy to see, no target to strike, but they were close. The glowing sphere hovered in the air, brighter than ever before. It pulsed with urgency. It knows, it said in Elias's mind, the silence is near. It is not a creature. It is not a ship. It is a storm, a tear in space, made by minds who once thought like yours. Solon whispered, What if we can't stop it? We don't have to stop it, Elias said calmly. We just need to show it something it doesn't understand. The Velari ship came alongside. A voice echoed through the comms. We are ready. But we warn you, no fleet has ever returned from facing it. Elias gave a small smile. Good thing we've never been here before. The horizon reached the edge of something strange. A patch of space darker than night itself. Stars bent around it. Light slowed near it. And then, it spoke. Not with words, but with silence. The screens on the horizon flickered. Every ship in the fleet felt it. Systems failed, thoughts blurred, memories twisted. The sphere pulsed hard, holding the ship together. It is trying to erase you, it warned. Not with weapons, but with forgetting. And still, Elias stood tall. Let it come, he said. The silence reached out, invisible and deadly. And then, the archive inside the horizon lit up. Not just the sphere, but the ship itself. Every panel, every wire, every bolt. The knowledge wasn't hidden anymore. It was alive. From the center of the ship, a beam of light fired into the black. Not a weapon, but a message. A story. Earth's story. Humanity's pain, its wars, its dreams, its music, its laughter, its losses, its love. The silence paused. It had consumed worlds before. It had heard screams, fear, surrender. But this was defiance through hope. One of the Cernay ships added its own memory, a forest planet lost to the silence centuries ago. The Villari ship added songs from when their kind first touched the stars. Ship by ship, voice by voice, the fleet told their truths. Together, they created something the silence had never faced. Unity without fear, knowledge without control. A story too loud to erase. The silence shuddered, not in anger, but confusion. The black rippled. And then, it cracked. For the first time, the stars behind it were visible. The silence, faced with something it could not understand, began to fall back. Slowly, quietly. It didn't scream. It didn't attack. It simply retreated. And the stars began to shine again. Elias let out a slow breath. Is it gone? The sphere pulsed gently. No, but it is sleeping again, watching, waiting. It always will, but it will remember this moment. The fleet began to scatter. The Villari ship turned toward the deep dark. We will return to our watch. The stars may still need us again. The Cernay ship bowed its lights toward the horizon. Thank you for being the voice. And then they left. The horizon turned toward Earth. Elias looked at his crew. Rika, Solon, the engineers, the pilots, the scientists. None of them were soldiers, but all of them had stood against the unknown. As the stars passed outside the windows, Solon said, "They're never going to believe this back home." Elias smiled. "No, they won't, but they'll feel it. The world's already different." Earth waited below, not just for answers, but for a future it hadn't dared to imagine. And far behind them, in the cold, quiet dark, the silence remembered the voice of Earth, and it did not laugh.